Dara Ó Briain, of course, has joined the woke left-wing lunatics. Yesterday, he posted multiple posts about the discussion with Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, talking about the small towns in England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland being invaded by all these mass illegal immigrants coming in from the EU and the UN that are paying the Irish politicians, of course, to bring these people in. 100% he was correct about everything. Elon Musk was very articulate, talked about this. Small towns such as Dundrum, 250 people being invaded by 2,000 people overnight from God knows where, no background checks, no nothing. And of course, Dara Ó Briain had to get in on this and say, what do you mean? There's nobody being sexually assaulted or anything happening like that. When only just last week, a 10-year-old Irish girl was sexually assaulted by a 26-year-old migrant who was posing as a security guard at the City West Hotel that was bought by the Irish government at €148 million. This man was supposed to be deported 8 months prior, but of course nothing happened to him. And then the lack of accountability from the government caused this attack. Dara Ó Briain then puts up a post again on top of that post where he said, no, nothing's happening, nobody's being sexually assaulted. He says, this is genuinely insane. I mean, just worrying, divorcing any facts from reality. How desperate are people to believe this nonsense? When Elon Musk was 100% correct with everything he says, he actually then got so over inundated with messages and hate that he actually deleted the post. The last post had 1.3 million views. Then he puts up a post just this morning saying, a lot of people are getting very angry here about a quote from me, which is actually a reply to a very specific conversation about a town in Ireland. Like I just said, there's multiple towns that you can talk about. Newtown, Mount Kennedy, you can talk about Dundrum, all these little small towns being inundated with loads of people. He then goes on to say, I am well aware that people will just ignore this clarification and believe what they want, but that's not the actual context. But what is the actual context, Mr. Dara Ó Briain? He used to be a hero of mine, guys. Dara Ó Briain used to be a great guy, comedian, mocked a week with Frankie Boyle. Two of my favorite comedians of all time, Frankie Boyle, Dara Ó Briain, and a whole host of other people, Russell Howard. But then, of course, they get inducted by this woke mind virus, guys. They're inundated with the left. They have to promote this left-wing ideology, this Marxist communist ideology, or else they won't get paid by the BBC. Dara Ó Briain, no offense as well, he hasn't lived in Ireland his entire life, lads. As soon as he turned 18, he left the country. He's been living in the UK his entire life, so I'm not sure why he's commenting on things that are happening in Ireland. Like, you don't even live here, brother. You know, we're living here in Ground Zero, Galway, Dublin, Cork, Donegal. You know, we're here, lads, and we're experiencing it every single day. The famous phrase for Dara Ó Briain, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, is exactly what's happening here. And if everything is so good here and mass illegal migrants aren't causing any issue to the country, why do we have this coming out this morning from Garda Info? It says yesterday the Garda National Bureau of Immigration of An Garda Síochána carried out the operation removing 52 individuals from the state by a chartered flight to Georgia, okay, which is in Eastern Europe, okay, near Albania, that kind of thing. We continue to work closely with the Department of Justice in implementing immigration policy. There's been well over 300, 400 people, I believe, deported from Ireland this year, which those numbers should go up to thousands, guys, okay? We have tons of people here, such as a 26-year-old from the City West Hotel, and it's not being regulated. This is obviously a good start, but many, many more flights have to happen. And of course, these flights each cost like, hundreds of thousands. I think the last one to Georgia was like €500,000. Another one to Nigeria was like 300,000. So it just feels like the price of these flights are crazy. Couldn't we get Ryanair to do private flights for us? You know, Ryanair, you get 10 cents, you get to go to Italy for 10 cents, or Ibiza for flipping, €10. Couldn't we do a sort of a Ryanair cheap flight? You know, bring everybody over for flipping €300. You could bring over 300 people on a plane for €30, each. Like, that would make more sense rather than paying hundreds of thousands, millions for these deportation charter flights. Just wild stuff. We need to bring in Eddie Hobbs to actually sort out the funding for this. If Eddie Hobbs was to regulate the amount of funding and spending, we'd have a great country. Here we have a brand new post from X from Jim O'Callaghan saying, a further deportation flight left Dublin last night and landed safely this morning in Tbilisi, Georgia. There are 52 people on board who had received but not complied with deportation orders. So you have a ton of people here, guys, that are not complying with these deportation orders. And a deportation order is basically you have to get yourself your own ticket. You have to pay for your own ticket to leave the country, okay? But who's going to do that, guys? Nobody is going to do that. That's basically like saying you have to basically turn yourself in. That's never going to happen. They have to be put in handcuffs straight away after the trial and brought to prison before being put on a flight. All the comments here saying, now multiply that by 100,000, wouldn't even fill the bus that brought them to the airport. 52 out while 1,000 come in. Yeah, it's 100%. People understand that. People understand this is like a drop in the ocean, guys. You know, it's like a single drop in the flipping ocean of people that are here, guys. It doesn't make a massive difference at all. I want to kind of show the Irish public the kind of people that we're letting in. Here we have a man that's trained by ISIS and who killed 900 people and sexually assaulted 250 women. These are the people that the Irish government are facilitating and bringing into the country, supposedly, maybe, because they have no background checks. There's no background check from people from Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia. These places don't have governments, so they can't do background checks on these people. And we could be potentially flooding the country with people like this.
900. المهم من صار الاقتحام على سنجار كنت انت مشارك بالاقتحام
بس مو بدايته الشطرات وهميه حجتنا شنو الشطر؟ الشطرات وهميه نشيل 30-40 نفر بالسياره نخليهم بصفحه نخلص نخلي السجون والله نخليهم بصفحه نكتب.
هسه طبعا انا من اقاربي اختفوا ما عاد لهم موجود. يعني لحظات حط نفسك بمكان هذا الشخص اللي ذبحته شنو كان شعوره؟
شعوره كان يقول لا تقتلني. ليش تقتلني؟ يا دم يا دم تقتلني.
How many women, how many children do you think over the years?
هاي الفترة بقيت وياهم تقريبا أقارب تقريبا بال 5 سنين.
15-year-olds, 50 teenagers, 200 people, so 250 people.
Going through your mind, talk to me. Tell me what you're thinking when these girls are screaming for you to stop and you don't, you continue.
والله هي حالة ممارسة الجنس يعني كل شخص ما يقدر ينفصل عن هذا الشيء يعني هي إرادة قوية.
Nobody controls sex, it's a strong desire. These are again, like I said, the people that are coming from war-torn parts of the world, the Serengeti in Africa, the Middle East, war-torn places. They have no flipping desire to even integrate with the public. They want to see us all die. That's it, guys. They want to kill us all. These are our adversaries that we're just letting into the country, potentially.
أنا رغم ما شيء جد كان تمنعني من هذا الشيء يعني بس من أخلص وياها يعني أشوفها تمشي يعني ينكسر قلبي عليها.
لو إن قلبك طيب ما تاخذ 3 بنات وتغتصبهن يوميا.
صحيح بس تعرفين وضع الشاب يعني. لا
هذا ما تبرير. أنت كنت تستمتع بهذا الشيء.
صحيح بس بوقتها كنا مضغوط عليه. أنا مضغوط علي هذا الشيء. أنا مريض من عندي هالشيء. أنا إذا ما أسوي هذا الشيء.
أوكي هسه احكي لي شنو هو الضغوطات اللي صارت وشنو هذا الشيء اللي انراد من عندك. هسه احكي لي إياه. أنا وياك وجه لوجه. أنا واحدة من ضحك.
So yeah, he said that he was pressured by ISIS, guys. They're not, man. This is what they do, guys. They do this to demoralize the public, and I want Irish people to see this because, you know, you have to wake people up to the horrors that are happening in this country and abroad. You know, when we wake up in the morning and we go to the local Costa Coffee and get coffee and we're walking around and it's, you know, it's nice and pleasant here in Europe. That can all end tomorrow if we have a few hundred of these guys coming over to cause us harm. You know, our way of life can be impacted. I don't want people like this in the country, and I don't think anybody else should want this. That's why we need to vet and deport people immediately if they're not supposed to be here. But of course, the woke NGO-funded Irish government won't even allow us to talk about immigration. Look at this, guys. Today we have Councillor Malachy Steenson speaking about immigration, but then gets interrupted as he himself gets accused of being the one who's doing the interrupting. Okay, they're gaslighting us on repeat. RT are shameful. So he comes on RT trying to explain the horrors of the immigration and this kind of stuff. And of course, they shut him down. Every single thing he says, they just shut down over and over on repeat. And Malachy Steenson is a great guy. He obviously pushes the more right-leaning movement, the conservative movement, the spoil your vote movement as well, the campaign that came in last month before the presidential election, the corrupt presidential election, I should say. Amazing guy.
The issue of immigration very briefly, and I know, Malachy, you say we need to fast-track all IPAS applications and deport people who fail in their applications. Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are effectively saying the same thing.
Exactly. And they called me a fascist and far right 2 years ago for saying it. And now both Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are saying the very same thing, and Sinn Féin. What we need to do is to process people in the airport. Anybody who comes and lands in this country without any documents should be put back on a plane.
We haven't been able to do that since 1951 when we signed
I don't care.
It's ridiculous.
I don't care. I'm not concerned about 1951.
Don't mind. Please stop shouting over people.
This is fairy tale stuff, because we know where this kind of rhetoric leads. Because we are not sorry. If I could just,
it leads to a housing crisis.
Maliki, I'm not going to ask you again. Please stop speaking over people.
Ireland is not the first country to struggle with the resource and capacity issues that immigration.
White Irish women killing themselves, guys. That's what's happening here. They're just destroying themselves. They don't even know what's coming. The guy that I just showed you, the ISIS member, he's coming for you all, Irish women, like. And he wants it, guys. He wants it, and he'll get it if you guys keep shouting down the patriotic Irish men like myself and Malachy Steenson who want to prevent these psychos from coming here. He was called fascist and far right 2 years ago, but of course, Simon Harris and Micheál Martin yesterday, over the weekend, came out and said that the immigration numbers were too high. So now they just quickly did a U-turn, they backtracked, and they said, oh no, you're right, actually. You're not a fascist anymore. Completely stupid. Then he goes on to say, anybody that comes here without documents, a passport, a visa, anything like that, on a plane into Dublin Airport, should immediately be put in handcuffs and put on a plane and back to the country that you came from. Every single person, I would say, that doesn't arrive with a passport or visa has to be put in jail. Every single person, I would say, that arrives without a passport or a visa must be put in jail immediately. And then, of course, the women at the end try and interrupt him. They say, oh, you're interrupting us, when in reality, they were the ones that were interrupting him. So the gaslighting on the Irish public and these more right-leaning officials is just tenfold. You know, it's just a travesty to see this, guys. They're just gaslighting the hell out of our officials, and I won't stand for it, guys. You know, we need to stick up for Councillor Malachy Steenson and push back against this mainstream narrative that they're trying to push on us. I love you all. If you want to support me, hit the join link underneath the video, become a member so I can support you back. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys all in the next one, man. Peace.